Hi, I'm Sophie.
Hi, I'm Paul.
And we are SP Film Viewers.
So here we are for the second instalment of our Halloween month of 2020.
Ooh. It's getting worse. It's not getting any better with these nice movies that we're watching. You really eased me in, didn't you? And then I stupidly decided, why did I want to watch this film?
And that film is The Woman in Black, the 2012 version.
Well,
with Daniel
all was good in the world.
How do you mean?
There was no COVID, and Daniel Radcliffe and Harry
Right.
Potter had only just finished. And
Yeah, this is his first actual role after that series had been done and dusted.
Yeah, it was, and I have been itching to watch it, to be intrigued to see how, obviously, somebody who's only played Harry Potter as a role and is so iconic as known as Harry Potter. And to be fair, in Harry Potter, he wasn't the best character, even though he was the main character. There was a lot of better acting, like from Ron Weasley, like Rupert Grint was, for me, I thought, like when you have like a boy band that breaks up,
Yeah.
and one of them, like One Direction, you think, right, Harry Styles is the best, he's going to go far. In my opinion, this, with the three main stars of Harry Potter,
Not even Emma Watson.
yeah, but even Rupert Grint was just more, for me, it was effortless. You didn't see him having to act. It was like, it felt like he was just so nonchalant, and it just didn't come across as acting. Whereas, and that was from such an early age. Like, if you watch the early Harry Potters, he's just a knockout of an actor as at that age. Whereas if you look at Emma and Daniel, you kind of see the really like young child trying to concentrate on the lines kind of a little bit more, and it more put on, I guess.
Okay, but it's funny you said that because they've gone on to do
I
more
know.
acting roles, whereas Rupert has gone completely the opposite
The
way.
only thing Rupert's done, which is quite funny, is starring the Ed Sheeran Lego house and bought an ice cream van. That's literally all I know him for.
I think he has done small films and TV dramas, but again, you wouldn't really know without really looking into all that stuff. But
So I was quite impressed with this role that Daniel Radcliffe plays. It's actually one of his best acting that I've seen him in compared to Harry Potter. It does start to get obviously better as he ages. And this is why I wanted to kind of delve into this. And this is why I picked it, wasn't it? Because I did say to you, I've wanted to watch it for a while.
Yeah, and also when I first obviously wrote down on the list of things that, like, here's the names of some films to pick out from, I'd written The Woman in Black initially down because of the other version that we're also going to be talking about, the 1989 television broadcasted one, the TV movie, because I hadn't seen it before. I've only seen the Dan Radcliffe version. I wanted to see how it compared to that one.
However, when Paul said this to me, I just looked at him blankly, as in, oh, there's another. I didn't know this. I just obviously knew the more well-known version.
Yeah.
So we have actually covered both, and Paul's been able to do his compare. So it's kind of been a bit of a mishmash week, hasn't it, where neither of us has seen, and one obviously I've been wanting to see and then regrettably seen now, because I think I've kind of started to get to a point of where it's going to get even darker with the movies, and it's going to get even scarier, and the content's going to get to a point of where Sophie probably can't sleep, because I feel like it's only going to get worse. So wish me luck.
So we'll go with talking about the Daniel Radcliffe version first, if that's all right with you.
Yeah. I will go first with the fact that just because it's obviously Harry Potter, I'm obsessed with Harry Potter. I love it to bits. And I think, to be fair, it's nostalgia for me. It's the music gives me goosebumps. And I think why I wanted to watch this was mainly because it was Daniel Radcliffe. This is like the only reason why I tortured myself through this film. I can't actually fault his performance. I think he does a sterling job, and to say it's his kind of out of role of Harry Potter, it definitely does that. It steps him aside from his Harry Potter kind of ways. And he's now actually looking like an actor.
Yeah, trying to take himself a bit more seriously in what he does.
And this is to say it's his first film.
After that, yeah.
Yeah, after that. Brilliant job to him. He didn't disappoint me at all, which I didn't know if I would have been disappointed. I kind of had that little
doubt about whether he would or not, yeah.
Yeah. So it already starts off being freaky from the get-go, this film, for me, and gives me like this horrible eerie feeling, and I don't like it, and I kind of get a bit of a discomfort with the fact that the opening scene is in an attic. It's got scary ass pot dolls, which I hate.
Yeah, I mean, I don't really like those things. They are a bit like soulless in their eyes.
But they're staring at you.
Exactly, that's what I mean. Yeah, they're quite freaky, and
I just don't like them. And then they were obviously having. You just freaked me out. Then don't do that.
What?
You just looked at the side like there's something behind me, and he scared me. Going on to the pot dolls.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think it's their eyes, the way they look at you. Also, it was freaky because they were having a little tea party, and there was 3 girls, and Paul knows anything to do with little girls creep me out. I don't.
In what sense? Just to clarify with people.
For example, like a scary girl ghost.
Yeah.
Like
even though these girls aren't that.
No, but because they're being somewhat possessed.
Yeah, possessed, manipulated by the woman in black.
Then they're freaky, and they look dead in their eyes.
Yeah.
And they're walking. It's that walk.
So just marching forward, like no awareness of what they're doing, and just jumping out the window. Yeah,
just jump out of the window. Ironically, there's 3 windows that are perfectly open, isn't there?
Mm-hmm.
And all 3 little girls just jump out of the window and die. And it's like, and that's literally your opening scene. And I'm thinking, crap, if this is what I've got installed for me, bloody hell, I'm not going to be able to sleep at all. So I was like, right, I don't know how I feel about this now. It got a little bit better when Harry Potter came on the scene.
What's his actual name what's his character name in the film?
Oh, it's Arthur. And the only reason why I can remember this is because our cat is called Arthur. And it's Arthur
Kipps. Yes. Which our cat does quite a lot, ironically enough.
Kipps.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Kipps.
Oh, like a nap.
Yeah.
And then we noticed in the other one, it's called
Arthur Kidd. Which
I was like, wait a minute. Have I heard it wrong on the Daniel Radcliffe one? So I did get a bit.
I do wonder why they changed to that, because there should be some confusion with if it was called Arthur Kidd, like for a wider audience, where they're like, oh, I don't understand why is he called him Kid.
Or is it patronising? Does it come across as patronising? Because I kind of took it that way, like they were calling him a kid, like he was naive.
Don't know. Maybe that's part of it, but anyway.
But then I kind of get the kid bit, because it's like, well, it's all to do with kids, isn't it?
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah, it's the woman in black who's vengeful against children.
So you kind of see this part where Daniel Radcliffe, Harry Potter, becomes the dad, and he's kind of give you a bit more of a background on Arthur and see how his family and the way that Arthur is and why he's the way he is, because obviously it must be so heartbreaking, this, because it's like you've just become a father and you love your wife and you've got a new baby in your arms, and then you get told that your wife is no longer here because obviously she's died in childbirth. It's like and then horrible. He did really play the role really well, because you saw this emotion of so excited for the bundle of joy, and then absolutely devastated. That's
been taken away, and it's like I couldn't imagine having that going through that. I think it must be soul crushing.
Yeah, because now every time you have a birthday for your baby, you're also mourning your wife.
Yeah,
it's horrific to think, and then also you kind of could get a little bit of resentment towards the child, because it's like,
which didn't actually show in the film, because I feel that's how most things would probably go, wouldn't it? If you mentioned that, oh well, you are your birth is responsible for my loved one's death, and it's
Yeah.
kind of thing. But it doesn't come across that way at all.
Which is lovely to see. Actually really does love his child, and I think actually he's clinging on to the fact that that's the only aspect of his wife he's now got in this world, and I think that's the right way for that to kind of pan out.
So Arthur Kipps, his job is basically like a lawyer. He seems, in this one anyway, he seems more of like a part timer or something, or he's not really worked up his way up the ranks. He's kind of like
He's not
he's
doing so well
not
as
doing
he's
so well in
kind
his
of
role, but
on a referral kind of thing, and this
Yeah,
is like to
his
redeem
last
himself.
chance, as the boss man says to him. So he's obviously going to the estate, Eelmarsh estate,
hmm
in this place called Criffin Gifford. I think that's how you say it.
And obviously this lady has passed away in this house, this big
Yeah.
house that she's been rattling around in, and there's all these paperwork and figuring out the finances of that side of things, and then obviously eventually once they've done that they can shift all the stuff out and be able to sell the property, but it shouldn't be too hard to do really. So this is where it becomes a bit worse for me, is when he gets to the house. It's a creepy ass house. It's really creepy. The gates are creepy, the weeds, it's all overgrown, and it just has that feel. And also where it's placed,
Yes, it's very much in a very spooky place. It's kind of like in the middle of nowhere.
you're isolated, aren't you?
Yeah, on the causeway, but it's like a windy road that only comes available when the tides come in. So it's kind of very much an isolated thing. It's like something in the distance. It's like there's that creepy mansion
that
that
you can't
couldn't-
always get to.
Yeah.
Which then I feel like gives you a sense of trappedness. Like you kind of, you can,
Yeah.
once you're there, you're stuck until the tide goes back
Yeah.
out or in, you know.
Yeah.
And that thought of that, like you can't go anywhere, so, and you're all on your own, I think kind of plays on it massively. They're really clever with the way that they've done that. Even the foggy scenes, like when they're driving up to the house, it feels eerie and ominous, and it's kind of just a creepy kind of thing. And even with the birds crying and the gulls and stuff, and
Yeah.
it just,
It's obviously decorated in that way for the set to come across very much like, old, worn out statues and, like I said, overgrown weeds and everything just looks all eerie.
It does get creepy. And it's also a case of where you see a lot of kind of resentment from the village folks as well towards Arthur in this one.
Yeah, they seemed a bit more like, it's like, I'm here to do business at that house, and everyone's like, ooh,
You can't go to that house, and
it's go quiet, or they have that look about them that's like turn away and like,
yeah, or kind of want to stop them, so restrict him doing his job. They don't want to help him, so he's also got that resentment from the villagers, so he hasn't even got that support. So his isolation and him being on his own is massive, really. You kind of feel that, which is scary, really, because he's so vulnerable in this situation that he's been put in. There is one family, isn't there, that kind of helps him out a little bit, but even the wife seems a little bit kooky and gets possessed by her son, doesn't she?
Yeah, they lost a child, and it seems to be ghost of whether it's the woman in black or she's just one of those people who seems to has that spiritual thing about her that kind of thing, because she starts, doing like
I didn't like
the
that
messaging
scene.
thing, and it's like scribing in the table with the etchings and stuff, and it's.
I did not like that. That freaked me out. It was something chronic. And I think my logic is, go with me on this. This is how deep I've been thinking about it. So I think the little boy talks to his mum, and obviously it's spiritual awareness, and she's open to that kind of channel. However, because the woman in the black can manipulate children so easily, I think she can even manipulate them in the spiritual world. So when his mum is kind of being in that possessive stage,
That seems so, because every time she's etching something, it's kind of showing something that's sort of relating to him or
to what is going to happen by the woman in black.
Yeah, exactly.
So there's a lot more death and victimization in this one for children. You do see that kind of.
Yeah, you do see quite a lot of that going on throughout, and you can see ghosts of those children.
Oh my god, I forgot about those.
Later on as well, to reflect on.
Tried to put that.
All part of her thing. It's like this woman is so vengeful, and she's just attacking these children just because of how everybody is in the town almost like a witch kind of thing, and that kind of thing against her. So
I think also I understand the reasoning behind why she gets her revenge, but however, she's not really been revenging on the right people, and it's innocent people that are getting hurt and children. But obviously, I think she sees it as, I lost a child.
yeah, so
Everyone else is going to lose a child now.
Yeah, that's a means of giving payback.
And it's like, well, you're not really paying back the people who have done you wrong. And I feel like that you're doing it on people who are innocent. They weren't part of it. It wasn't their fault.
And nobody seems to be stepping up on like a way to, how can we resolve this? It's kind of just like, oh look, just let it happen. And that's not really resolving anything with the fact, because obviously that this keeps happening. It's cursed that she'll just keep killing off children.
It's basically kind of, don't go over there, just kind of out of sight, out of mind, leave it alone, let her have that house, and then no innocent children will die.
I don't know if you got this similar vibe, but in a way it came across, obviously watching it this time and recently seeing The Birds, a bit of like, Arthur Kipps and Daniel Radcliffe has come into this town, and he's like, a bit like, I think you're the cause of all this kind of thing. That these things are happening just because he's come into town, but maybe that's just how it is, and that's always happened, because obviously we're seeing it as the film is, whether every so often a kid does die because of her, or whether it's just because he's interfering in some way because he's going up to the house and all that.
I think it's interfering, and obviously there's more occurrence where he could possibly see her. Yeah. However, I do think she goes out of her way to be seen as well, to cause that mayhem, because she's not just at the house, is she?
No, she's everywhere, but of course that's...
Yeah.
She's going to be doing that.
But I know what you mean with that kind of, it's your fault because you're meddling.
Yeah.
So you're causing all the... Because you kind of had that thing of that. The murder then kind of went on his hands, like it was his fault, even though it generally wasn't, because he was only going there to do a job. And at the end of the day, the only reason why he was doing a job is because we might have lost it if he didn't do a good job of it. And he had a little son at home. So that's like his background story. So you do feel for this character, I feel. You do feel sorry for him, you understand where he comes from, and you feel more empathy towards him to get the job done, because he needs to fund his family.
Yeah. What did you make of the woman in black herself?
Very youthful, a lot younger than I imagined. So obviously
You thought she might be a bit more like Skeleton Decaying type, or something like that, or just a bit more dark and sinister?
She was quite pretty, actually. In the facial features, she wasn't actually like scary, but it was more, for me, the way they played the music, the way they did their lighting, the way that she would pop up, or she would just kind of be stood in a corner as a shadow, and then kind of slowly, and the stare of her, that was the kind of... So actually her look at her as a self wasn't like a scary thing, but it was the way she was portrayed, I guess.
Obviously, when you said about music being used in it, there was a point, wasn't there, where it's kind of like Arthur looks up at the window, and then you sort of see her in the window, and then she moves away, and then suddenly there's like that sound, as if like that was the music. That felt like it was off-timed, like it should have been as soon as the camera cuts to her at the window, kind of thing. If that was meant to be like the scary thing, because her moving away, I don't understand why.
But I'm wondering if that would make like a sound. I was thinking about this like when you said that, I had to reflect on it, and I was part of me was thinking, well, is it where it sounds like she's going to come after him now that she's seen him? Is it like kind of playing on that, like a dum dum?
Right.
That's what I was wondering. Also, there was a scene where I papped my pants, didn't I? Where he sees the hand mark.
He presses his hand against the glass, and then
it's like a what's it called? There is a word for it where it's like a frozen in time kind of thing, where you see her alive screaming, I'm guessing, at the fact that she can see her boy
being drowned in
the marsh. And I really jumped out of my skin, didn't I? I knew there was going to be something, but I didn't expect it to be so. And the scream was ear-shattering
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
upsetting.
Yeah.
There's a lot of things where I think as well she plays tricks on him. The rocking chair as well. Oh my god, that rocking chair.
And all the little trinkets and toys in the room. I mean, that's a bit like the pop dolls, isn't it? Where it's
it's
just,
like,
yeah,
I know it sounds daft, but you know, like if you go into one of those old manor houses,
yeah. You see all the
and
Victorian toys, yeah.
and you go into the children's room, it's them kind of rooms that freak me out the most. Go into a normal bedroom, go into the kitchen, fine. Go into the child's nursery.
Yeah,
And I think it's those scenes of the rocking horse or something.
Yeah, yeah. And it's something. It's weird how something so innocent can just have some sort of horror-based connotation to it.
Yeah, the trinkets as well, the sounds of the little.
Yeah.
I would not have stayed there as long as he did. Literally, if I'd have seen that rocking chair, I'd have been out of the door as quick as you'd have known. I wouldn't have been like trying to calm her down. I'd have been like, telling her to, because basically it kind of feels like he's going, just stop rocking, woman.
Yeah.
And it's like, no, I would. You'd have seen like in a cartoon 20 billion shadows of me running out of the door.
Yeah, through the doors, yeah. Shaped holes and the poof.
Yeah.
It's like dust cloud. Yeah.
I'm not even gonna dumb this down of how scared I get about this, and I do believe it is real, and I think that's what frightens me the most, is that actually these sort of things can happen, and I genuinely believe that.
I do. I'm in the vein of wanting to believe. Obviously, I've not really seen much proof. I do. I guess I kind of like the idea of there being that spiritual ghostly presence among us, but yeah, it's sometimes when the people doing the medium stuff, it's kind of like, are you just doing it to appease people? But I'd love to see some actual proof of something. I'd be crapping my pants, but at least some sort of proof that what was.
Don't be saying this now, because I really don't want that in our new house.
No,
so
I don't think that's gonna. Yeah, just because you said it, I don't think that's gonna happen.
I don't know. I think things work in mysterious ways. I'm all a believer on this, and I think this is why it's like as real as spiders to me.
Mm-hmm.
The other day when we watched The Quiet Place, I feel like I was okay with that, because it's like, that's something like aliens, and I know people might believe that about aliens and stuff like that, and this weird creature coming down to Earth. For me, that on a scale of 1 to 10 of realisticness, that isn't as realistic as a ghost or a spirit.
Yeah.
Because it's a made-up creature. Whereas people do die, and where do they go if they don't become a spirit?
Yeah, it's thrown out there as to where we go and all that stuff. Yeah, I know what you mean.
So, really, really creeps me out. This is like my worst nightmare coming true in this house right now. It's like horrific. And so I don't know why the hell I was like, oh yeah, I want to watch Woman in Black and put it on, Paul. I'm like, really want to see Harry Potter star in a different role. Why did I care? So Mr. Kip realises he should find the body, hoping that this will kind of
counteract the fact that put her to rest, so to speak. So if I find the child's body, put the body with her body, and you think, right, that's that done and dusted. She'll be at peace now.
And so he literally goes through a muddy.
Oh, that would be my worst nightmare.
Yeah, it would,
neck deep and having to dive underneath in the boggy marsh.
It was quite funny because that looked like it discomforted you more than the ghost did. It was really funny.
Like, yeah, hating would at the best of times, and that I'd just be like, oh, no.
Literally, he dived in, didn't it, like he was in a swimming pool, and then So obviously he thinks he's doing a kind gesture. He then thinks, oh, well, my boy's come into this little town, and we're going to just go back home, and we're going to leave it there, and everything should be sorted, and he's done his job. That's not the case, though, is it?
No, so it's almost like his son and the nanny coming to Crith and Gifford, and almost like straight away say, like, change your plans, we're going back to London. I'm like, I'd be pissed off. Like, come on that way, because I'm sure it wasn't cheap tickets even for.
But I'm guessing he'd have been paying for him. But the fact that you've been on a long, long journey, that'd be the most tiring thing. It's like saying to somebody, "Oh, you've just gone to Australia, right? Get back there now."
Yeah. But then, so tragedy strikes in relation to his son now being manipulated by the woman in black, and to come on over here onto the train tracks.
I saw that coming. That was so predictable.
Yeah, of course.
It was like how is nobody looking after this child and holding its hand or carrying it so it can't, like if that were my child and I knew what I'd just seen, I wouldn't be letting it out of my sight.
Yeah.
So it's like, when I saw it, I was like, oh, you're being so stupid. So it did that kind of get my goat a little bit.
So then Daniel Radcliffe then gets down onto the train tracks to try and save his son. But unfortunately, he's unsuccessful and he's now in the spiritual world.
I think this is quite
and
poignant.
He's reunited with his wife.
This sounds really weird. I felt like I got a happy ending, even though...
Yeah, even it was sad because he died and his son died. But the family are together now.
Yeah, so that made it fine for me. It was like, actually, they don't have the worry about the woman in black anymore.
Yeah.
They're all in white and they're like, they're carefree. They don't have to worry about his job anymore. They don't have that strain and stress. And actually, they're back as a family. And it's like, that to me is a really good ending of a really, really horrible, scary film.
Although it does end with which is like a bit of a shoehorned in. I feel like the woman in black's doing like this, looking over, and then she just like look to the camera as if like, no, I'm going to get you next. I think so, yeah, you could, if you wanted to end it, just end it at them walking off.
But I guess they wanted to give that horror film. But I think as well, also, I think she was a bit twisted.
Yeah.
With that, because it's like, well, actually, you've just given him everything he wanted.
Yeah, essentially, yeah.
So you've kind of messed up there because you hadn't made him feel that pain. If anything, you've given him a happy ending.
Yeah.
So yeah, I really, really, really enjoyed this version. I think it was spooky, scary, creepy, good ending, which helps, and I think Daniel Radcliffe does a brilliant, sterling job.
Okay, so do you want to talk about the 1989 version before we do the final scores?
Yeah, I think so, yeah.
Okay. So, yeah, like we said, I hadn't seen this one before. I wasn't very much intrigued to know how this much differentiates with it. And to be fair, there's quite a lot that does.
Yeah, really. There really is. So first of all, obviously, you've got Mr. Kidd instead of Mr. Kip.
Yep.
Secondly, you've got a fact of his family is alive. He's got his wife. He's got a lot more children.
Yeah. So you've already got that setting up. It's all everything's happy there with his family life.
He's also got a really sterling job.
Yeah, he's the part owner of the company that he's the solicitor firm that he's working for. So
quite high up in the ranks, and he seems to be well in his profession, and he seems to have a happy family. So he seems like the typical happy average Joe, well, no, more than average Joe, well-off kind of man in that kind of era that it's set in. Because it's kind of portraying the same era, isn't it?
Yeah, 1925 is the sort of era, the sort of time.
However, with the Daniel Radcliffe one, you get that era there, but you don't with the way they talk, and you don't...
Yeah,
it's underplayed a little bit.
Yeah, it's trying to make it a bit more easy for everybody to... So, not that the people in this version are any harder to understand in the way they speak, but I guess it's trying to make it a bit more accessible for everybody in the 2012 version.
Yeah, more easy pressing, I think, and not as so hard to understand. Yeah. And that's why I thought I didn't know if he was saying it funny. Like sometimes when we've been watching older films, they talk a little bit funny. But so we had to Google the Mr. Kidd because I was wondering if they were saying Mr. Kip.
Yeah, because it's like, even I was like, what? Why is he saying that differently?
Yeah.
It's weird. But I feel like the fact that the way that the costumes and the setting of this one felt more genuine. Because it was like a television, because obviously it was quite an older film anyway. For television, I feel that they had they could spend the budget more on something like that, because they had restrictions with what they could do with effects and things like that for telling the story in this.
So do you think actually the fact that it was older, yes, it seemed more realistic with the actual settings, however, the scare factor for me wasn't there as much. I feel like they were more limited, so actually I didn't feel as frightened in this one as I did the Daniel Radcliffe version.
There wasn't purposely darkly lit in the way that everything was. It's kind of just more natural light, I'd say.
Also, you didn't see as many deaths of children. You just saw one instance
of a child getting injured with Arthur's interference with.
And he saved her, so
which is I think what somehow he gets roped into the whole debacle with the woman in black in this anyway, because he's like, oh, you interfered with this child's death. That was going to inflict upon her, but now you can think I'm going to take vengeance on you now.
Yeah.
Stalk you and make you feel uncomfortable.
I think I kind of get that. Don't get me wrong, the woman in black in this does look more scary.
She does, yeah. She's very much, her stare is very much piercing through you.
Yeah, and she's more skeletonized, I feel like. She looks a bit more skeleton, like with the face and the artwork. They have done...
The face paint, yeah.
Yeah, they've done that quite well, because obviously they have got more limitations on it being an older film.
Yeah, so they've got to play on that a bit more, with more, I guess, close-up shots and obviously long-distance shots. But obviously when you do see her more close-up and you see her like walking slowly towards him at a later point in the film, and that comes across as a bit more terrifying, because like you're just going straight for him, and it's like, feel a bit uncomfortable.
Yeah, you do. And I think you have to have that, because otherwise there isn't all these like little tricks where something starts to play or...
you haven't got as many musical cues to work with, and there's no purposely jump scare elements to it. What I found quite distressing, I don't know if you were the same, is obviously with the limitation of visuals, you've got the sound they can work with though, which is obviously when he's hearing the pony and trap on the marshes, and the screams that are coming from the mother and child are just so got through me a lot.
It's piercing, isn't it?
It's absolutely terrifying the way that gets to you. It's sort of...
Yeah. I didn't like that. No. I kind of tried to zone it out, and it wasn't... That was like kind of scary, but obviously they had to play on that more, because the visual side of things being obviously the elements of like something dropping, they did do that
with the
ball.
Yeah,
but that was the only kind of thing with movement really, because obviously, and the lights swaying
and things, and like and again the sound element being like the hello with the little boy.
Yes, I was like, oh, stop it. Don't talk to me. I don't want to talk to you. Yeah. So it was a little bit, I didn't like the little boy bit, but I didn't feel as uneased. I don't know why. I don't know if it's because my worst fears are something like that, like moving or kind of something playing a sound and then thinking, how's that turned on? That's where my mind kind of starts to go a little bit more. So there was obviously the only bit that they really did that was a little bit creepy was a little toy soldier that kept cropping up, either in his hand or in
his bag or his case or whatever. Yeah,
that's the only way they could do it, where it kind of had that bit of impact, really.
Yeah,
but it still didn't seem... It seemed an easy thing to do, I guess, so it didn't freak me out, because it's like, well, they've just put it in his bag, they've just put it in his hand. So I kind of was putting that more realistic movie head in mind so that I didn't feel scared, I guess.
No. There was the element of, obviously, when he's speaking to that gramophone type recording device that he had. Now, I thought there may have been played on, again, with sound type thing, obviously, when he was doing the playback, that there might have been some, like, he might have heard something after he's been speaking on it, joking around initially, that he might have heard, like, her saying something in a spooky way, but for some reason that didn't happen.
I thought that would have been, especially when he tried to do the birds, and I thought she was going to then whistle along.
Back. And then be like, oh, what's going on? Yeah, but unfortunately, I kind of feel I missed a trick there, but anyway.
I think, obviously, as well, you can see that the people who are coming to this, when he comes to this town, they're very welcoming towards him. They don't really seem to resent him.
Yeah, they're all very much polite, aren't they, in the way that they come across. And no one... This, obviously, the fact that they know all this stuff about the history of her, they don't seem too shocked and scared. They're kind of like, oh, right, you're going to do that then? You're going to be sorting out her affairs? They're not stopped in their tracks when he brings it up or anything like that.
No, it's not like it's anything untowards. And it's like, well, actually, there's a killer woman on the loose. That's like, you can't kill her because she's already dead. It's like that. I think that's what freaks me out. It's like, if someone did come, if she came at us, what can you do? You're just going to die, aren't you? Because how do you kill someone that's already dead? Yeah, you can't, can you? So I think that's the bit she's unstoppable, and you kind of don't get to a point of where they try and resolve this one. He gets more freaked out, doesn't he? He's a bit more of a
Well, I
wuss.
would be if you had her coming at you from the bed
Oh
where
my
he's
God.
sleeping, because that was obviously the
Oh.
most scariest
Yes,
part
it
of it,
was,
really,
yeah.
and it's because he's kind of like coming down. And this is also a point when he's like saying hello to this voice that he can hear, and there's laughter, and then that
Yeah.
kind of happens.
Oh, and it
it's
freaks
like,
me out because I really didn't expect that to happen.
Yeah.
I was like expecting the little boy.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
she was actually like playing on it, really,
Yeah,
wasn't
yeah,
she?
exactly, yeah.
I did not like that at all. That was my worst scene in this. But he does seem a bit more easily spooked. He doesn't go back to the house that much. He does get a dog, Spider, which I think is a weird name. Obviously, the other guy, Daniel Radcliffe, gets a dog, but I don't remember the dog's name for that one.
No, I don't know. So as you say, it kind of like almost winds down a little bit after that incident with everything. He's kind of like resting in bed for most of it. He's kind of just recovering.
And they send him back home, don't they?
And back in the office and everything, he's obviously, he finds out that the house burnt down or something. So there's nothing left of the house, and that's where we never see it again now. So he's only got that word on that, and that's again, I think that's more a budgetary thing of. Right, just wipe it out. There's no reason to go back to the house now. Which is obviously, that's different from what happened in the other version. So all he's got left is his case full of all his the papers and everything to sort through it thing, because there's nothing else to really sort through now. And I think he's looking for the little figurine.
Yeah.
And he can't seem to find it. And then I think it gets to him somewhere his mental health is
not.
deteriorating.
Yeah.
So he starts burning all the things in his
burns his entire office. Yeah,
pretty much.
He does blame his boss as well in this one and says, like, you knew, why did you send me there?
Yeah.
Like, how could you? You know, why would you do that to me if you knew what I was going to get myself in?
That doesn't seem the case in the other one though. So.
No. And on the wiser, I think also he thinks, oh, okay, the house is burnt down. I burnt all her stuff. I'm free of her now. So you kind of get that same thing of, I've given her the boy to rest, and now they can rest in peace.
Yeah.
And he's thinking, oh, well, now she's burnt in hell, I think.
Yeah.
I don't know. But that's still not the case, is it? She still comes back.
Yeah.
What does this woman want?
I think she's just playing games and she's just absolutely vengeful against things. She doesn't seem to care who or what it is she's targeting. It's just...
She just doesn't want anyone to be happy. I think
exactly.
She hasn't been happy, so she doesn't want anyone else to have that.
Yeah, because it's quite the ending of this. I don't know if you want to spoil it for everybody, but if people want to watch it, but it's quite a very spiteful way of going out, and it's like, it does leave you a bit of like, oh gosh, that's horrible. Because
it didn't leave you with the ending that the Daniel Radcliffe one, where it actually was a nice ending.
In a sense.
Yeah, it was, because they're all together and they're all reunited, and you kind of got that little nice kind of glowy feeling, I felt, to an end of the film.
Yeah, but
this wasn't the case.
Yeah, I think all we'll say is that it's not the case. But funnily enough, I think I was doing some research on this, and this is also different from what's in the book as well.
So a lot of adaptations to the film and the books and such.
Yeah, so obviously now makes me intrigued to read the book at some point.
You're on your own with that one.
Well, I'm not going to read it out loud to you, but I'm not.
I'm not going to be reading it
after I've done with it now. But there we are.
There was also a fun fact that you found out.
Oh yes, I've got some other ones actually as well from what I've been researching as well. The first one that you're on about is the fact that the actor who plays Arthur Kidd in the 1980 version actually plays Harry Potter's dad in the Harry Potter series.
Really strange, because I was sat there going, he looks so familiar. I'm thinking, I don't know why he looks so familiar. It's an oldish film. I'm not going to know how I know this person. I'm thinking, but he just looks so familiar. And when you said that, I was like, does he? You had to show me a picture, didn't you? Because I was like, I don't recognise him without his glasses on. But yeah.
Well, I mean, I didn't know that even without looking that up either.
But I think it's quite fascinating to say that it's Harry Potter's dad. Obviously, they're quite close, so maybe, I don't know if they are quite close in the actual real life, and he's actually done that role and maybe helped him to guide him how to portray it.
Possibly, I don't. Yeah, could well be. The other ones I'll read out. In this one, the distance between the actual house that he goes to and the causeway he travels with are actually over 200 miles apart from each other, so in locations, they're not in the same location at all.
Oh, they're not?
No, so they filmed in the house is in its own thing, just somewhere.
And this is the 2012 Daniel Radcliffe one?
No.
Oh, the other one?
Yeah, the other one.
So is the other one actually on the...
Well, probably could be the same thing.
Same
for all I know,
principle.
But yeah. But
I actually just thought it was this creepy house.
that just perfectly just sat in.
Well, I know on the Daniel Radcliffe one, they did say that they actually did... It was a lovely, well-made house, wasn't it, that
Yeah,
they
and
had?
they had to make it look messy and untidy and unkept. So there probably is the case there. Again, this is all location shooting. You don't have to shoot in, or it can't possibly be all in the same location, but that's trickery of the camera. But,
yeah, it's really clever.
In the old one, if there's obviously stuff in the distance, that had to be composited over with like an effect of some description to make it look like there was a house there.
Or like a filter of the negative or something.
Yeah, exactly, yeah. About the dog, is this other fact?
Spider.
Yeah. It's actually a bit of a problem with the lead, the lead actor. So like when he was running downstairs to go get the axe, and he's going to get break into that room, the child's bedroom. The dog thought it was a race. Going down the stairs and actually bit his leg.
Oh my god!
To slow him down.
Well, Jack Russells can be vicious. We've got a Jack Russell and he can be a little bit of a snappy one.
Yeah.
I do like them for that character though, it's quite cute. Do we want to do the scores then?
Yeah, I think that's enough to be with, so we'll go to the scoring.
Okay, let me just have a think.
I'll go with mine first.
Yeah, normally it's me that goes first. It'd be nice for you to go first. Which one are you scoring first? The first
I
one?
think, well, I can do both at the same time because they're going to be the same score, but for different reasons, I guess.
Oh, I'm intrigued.
They're both going to be 7.
Okay, lower than I thought.
On which part? But do you think one was going to be higher than the other?
Yeah, but then when you said both of them were the same, I thought it would have been like a middle ground. Well,
that's
higher.
not middle ground is 5, but
I thought higher, but yeah, go on.
I think they've both got the merits in how they portray the story. Obviously, got the 2012 version that is a lot more. You got more of a Hollywood influence to it, so you got a bit more money behind it to get the effects and the creepy eeriness factor about it, which I do like. Though seeing it now from when I saw it initially, I didn't find myself that scared by anything too much, really.
Really?
Yeah.
Are you just becoming one of those weirdos that watches creepy films and doesn't get scared by them anymore?
No, that's not the case, because there's plenty of things that's still just really terrifying, but this one didn't do it for me this time around. Performances overall were fairly solid. I think it's more the atmosphere worked in it, but I feel like it did rely on a lot more like the jump scare factor again, because that's what people expect from things to do with ghosts or anything that's a bit creepy and things like that. They play on that just to get that element across. The 1989 version, I felt, was more genuine in how it was trying to tell its story, and it felt more of the time period it's trying to set really came across. I know there wasn't the fact of, it wasn't going for scariness all the time in the way it was coming across in that, but I felt like the woman in black herself came across very scary, and it chilled me with the screams. I felt with the audio it was came across genuinely more terrifying because it felt more real and raw about it, and that the ending of that film was a bit what left me like, oh gosh, that's it's like I know it left me feeling a bit.
Did you not expect that ending?
No, I wasn't sure how it was going to play out essentially, but because it all seemed like it's hard to explain without going into it.
It seemed like it had kind of been resolved, so to speak.
As you know, as films sometimes do with horror, they think everything's okay, and then suddenly, boom, something doesn't. But I don't know, there was just something about it that just kind of like hit me. But I think it was there was parts where it was like, yeah, there's a lot of talking going on, and it's like, I know this is probably fairly integral, but some of it felt like it didn't really need to be there. But
I felt like sometimes it was filling the void of, because they couldn't have that background of technology or.
Yeah, so I feel like we've done that part. But
Yeah.
for other aspects, it's really good in the way it came across. So that's why I points on that.
So, mine.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to do it the opposite way round because mine are different.
Okay.
And I'm going to give you my lowest score first.
Okay.
And then I'll give you my higher score. I think I would score the older 1989 film.
Yeah.
Less for me personally.
Yeah, I figured you probably would.
Which actually I should score it higher because it didn't scare me as much. But if we're going on scare factor and it's Halloween and it's spooky month, then really this one didn't frighten me as much.
Okay.
Apart from you saying as the audio with the screams, that was the main bit that did scare me. But there was a lot of it where it was slow pace. It didn't feel like it kind of stopped and started with the scary. I felt it wasn't coherent with it, which was nice to watch me. And I do like watching a timepiece, and I did enjoy watching it because it was, like you say, more related to that role. However, it just felt, apart from the ending as well, I think the ending for me actually marks it down a little. I preferred the ending in the 2012, probably because it is more fluffy.
As fluffy as it can be, as we say, yeah.
And I think that kind of helps the 2012 film for me. Maybe if it was a different case, let's say the boy in the 2012 one just died and the dad was then left on its own, that might have been a little bit more darker. Yeah. That might have changed my out view of it. So for the 1989 one, I would probably say maybe a 6.5 for me. Okay. It did seem slow paced. I did enjoy it, but I probably now seen it, I wouldn't really go back to it.
Whereas I'm more of the case of I revisit it at some point, I think, maybe with like the commentary on it that came with the disc and all that stuff. With this one, I was quite a lot intrigued about finding out more about it, in a sense. I don't know why that was, but it's something that drew me to wanting to know more about it, and saying like now wanting to read the book as well to see how it differs and how, if that scares me potentially more than.
Yeah, but you like being scared.
Yeah.
I don't.
But so what's the verdict with the 2012 version?
So it's already got a point. I know there was a Harry Potter character technically in 1989 one, but it's not a main character. I know. So it definitely gets like 2 points just for having Daniel Radcliffe in. It also, the ending, that for me, good ending, makes it fluffy and light. So it kind of, for me, all the scariness kind of gets outweighed by the fluffy, light ending. I did actually forget about the fact that you said the woman in black was actually obviously kind of in the end. I must have kind of chopped that out in my bit, in my version in my head, because I don't remember that.
It was only a very small thing at the end, but yeah.
I kind of was just happy with that being my ending, and I think I clung to that. Okay. This one is creepier, it's darker, it's more eerie, and if you want in a bit of more for a spooky factor, I would say this one was your film.
If you're looking for that sort of thing, then there's a more accessible way of experiencing that, then that one shows that in spades.
Definitely, the woman in black is scarier in the 1980 one, but obviously in this one she's a lot prettier, and they've got more technology to be able to play around with the scary lights and sounds.
Yeah.
I do feel the story went along a bit quicker with this one. Also, you got to know Arthur Kipp as a person more, and you felt for him. He was an underdog, you felt sorry for him, he was down on his luck, and I feel like I felt more of a connection to him emotionally than I did maybe in the 1989.
It's because he already had a sort of a perfect life with his family anyway.
Yeah. So I think actually I'd probably score this one, the 2012 one, an 8.
Okay.
Which is weird because it frightened me to death, but would I rewatch it? Maybe if in a year, ask me, and I might consider it if I wanted to be scared. I think I'd be alright though rewatching it if I remember what's going to freak me out. Okay. But yeah, no, I actually really, really thoroughly enjoyed both, but I think for the emotional connection of the character, and
The star of the
I'm a bit biased, yeah.
Yeah, just a tad. Perhaps. Now, would you be interested in at some point seeing there is a sequel to Woman in Black?
Oh, really?
The 2012 one, and it's called Woman in Black: Angel of Death.
Does it have Harry Potter in it?
No, it takes place.
Oh no, obviously
very few years.
He dies.
Yeah. No, he doesn't come back as a ghost.
Sure he's not the angel. I would definitely be interested in seeing that. I hope she dies, to be honest. If she can die again, I don't really know.
Dispelled from...
Yeah. Or casted to hell or something. So she can't haunt anyone anymore.
Yeah. No, I'd be interested to see that one again, potentially. I can't remember a great deal about it, but I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing, but definitely be intrigued to see that again.
Yeah, no, I hope she gets her upcomings on her, really. That's what I hope.
Yep. So, thank you everyone for listening to our thoughts on this. If you do get a chance to check out the 1989 version, then please do. I don't know if it'll be accessible for everybody in other countries. This is more of a UK-based production of the thing, which I forgot to mention, didn't I? The fact that it was released on Christmas Eve of 1989.
It's not a Christmas film. I'm not having it. He still thinks Die Hard is, and many other people out there do. Just because it's based around Christmas, I'm just not...
I didn't say it was a Christmas thing. I think it is actually some sort of like Victorian tradition to have those kind of like spooky tales just before.
Why would you want that before Christmas when Santa's going to come and bring you all presents? I don't get it. You need to be thinking of sugar plum fairies and candy and all of that nice stuff, not a ghost. Unless you're thinking of your loved ones that have passed, then I get that. But they don't need to come and haunt you and scare you, do they?
No, but that's just one of the aspects of how it was back then. But I guess that's sort of when ghosts became a sort of thing anyway, so...
Well, thank you so much for listening. And I hope that next week, Paul...
Oh, yeah, do you want to know what it is next week?
Well, even if you tell me, it's not going to make a difference to me. But go on.
Or just for maybe the listener's sake.
Yeah, you might know what I'm watching, but I don't have a clue.
So we're not saving it for the day itself at the end of the month, i.e. Halloween, but we are going to be watching the film Halloween, the original one.
I feel like I know something about it, but I'm not sure what, and I don't really know what to expect. I have nothing to really go on. Apart from I'm wondering if it's like somebody in a mask trying to kill somebody.
Yes, it is.
It is
very much that. It's exactly that. So, you do know something about it.
Oh, it's not like Scream, is it? It's not like a Scream mask.
No, it's not Scream.
Okay.
But it's a man in a mask. So, leave it.
Is it a clown?
No.
Thank God.
No, it's not.
Okay, we're clear.
No. Okay. So, look forward to that next week.
Oh, gosh.
And don't forget to check out all our other episodes on iTunes, Spotify, Podbean, and wherever else you might get your podcast from. And don't forget to follow us on social media on the platforms of Instagram, Twitter, Facebook under the handle SP Film Viewers. And be sure to give us likes and all that good stuff.
Yeah, definitely do. Especially, because I'm going through all this, watching scary films, and Paul's like, oh, it's because of the podcast. No, it's not. It's not. It's because he likes to see me get really uncomfortable. So the least you can do is like it for me, just so that at least I know it's worthwhile, my discomfort. Yeah. I can't wait till Christmas.
So, thank you very much for listening, and we'll speak to you next time.
Take care, everyone. Speak to you next time.
Bye now.
Bye.
Bye.